big realization over the last 8 or 10 years is what's really important in a shaft is the profile of the bending of the shaft and the flex of the shaft. And something that might be called stiff is way different than somebody else's stiff shaft. What's the balance of the weight of the club? Should you make the club head heavier? Should you make it lighter? Does that affect whether you'll hit the center of the face or not? One of the kings of everything about club fitting is being able to hit the center of the face. And if you get that right with somebody, they know it, they feel it, it matters. So everybody's going to get some benefit from being professionally fit. Maybe more in a lot of ways, the people that are high handicaps.
That are high handicaps, they would benefit more.
I think so.
And why is that?
So much more room for improvement.
Golf Smarter number 787 is brought to you by Get Mister, the makers of The Daily, the first dermatologist-developed health brand helping men build their healthiest skin without the hassle of multi-step routines. Visit GetMister.com and use Golf Smarter to unlock their limited-time exclusive offer of 25% off your first purchase. That's GETMR, GetMister.com. The brilliance of the late Carey Mumford and the art of custom club fitting with Tony Wright.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome to the Golf Smarter podcast, Tony.
Hello, Fred. Good to be here.
It's great to have you on. You reached out to me.
I've
seen you online, and know that you have a podcast, but did you reach out to me?
I did. I was driving. I found a place to get vaccinated that was about an hour away from me, okay, which is a strange story in itself, but we won't go there. And so I was looking for something to listen to while I was driving, and I didn't have to put my GPS thing on. I knew where I was going. And somehow I found links to 2 episodes you had done with Carey Mumford. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I listened to one on the way up and I listened to one on the way back. And I thought, gosh, that was really neat. And so I just, on a whim, doing podcasts, you reach out to people once in a while, like I'm sure you do, right? And just ask something, right? I said, what if he doesn't respond to me? So what? and I said, hey, Fred, I really loved Carey Mumford. He was an amazing person. And that just sort of started things. And you said, well, why don't you come on the show and we talk a little bit about Carey? And, I met him first, I think it was like 2000, met online, like 2006, something like that, 2009. And we had corresponded back and forth for years and years and years. And what an amazing person.
Yes.
And I've almost had this little thing since he died in 2013. Is there some way to get his books out there? Right. Because his books are a little different, right? I mean, the one book that he did, a putting book, it's an Excel spreadsheet.
Oh my gosh.
That was sort of the format of it. And it linked back and forth and all these kind of things. But so every once in a while, I try to reach out to somebody or say something and, hey, can we find a way to get these things published? Because they were, like he was, amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. And
yeah,
so
he was a treasure.
Yeah. And so I thought, well, hey, this is another way to kind of do that and, see where it goes. And it's interesting what happened since I first talked to you because, in fact, today, I thought I did not have the link to his putting book. He did a putting ebook. Talks about yips, talks about anxiety, talks about, all kind of things related. And we did, you're going to bring in some things from him related to his clear key and using him in putting. And somewhere in my list of emails, I found the download key, the unlock key to the book. So now, gosh, I'm going to go back and read it again because I haven't looked at it for years.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So
yeah, I met Carey through the Bird Golf Academy out of Arizona. I went and did I interviewed the guy who was running it. I can't remember his name now, but while I was there, I got to meet Carey. And so I interviewed him a couple times after that. And they've come back now. They're available on Golf Smarter Mulligans, episodes 16 and 26.
Mm-hmm.
And we're up to episode 100 right about now, or so with Mulligans. But it was early on, and it is still available. And Carey was definitely one of the mental game gurus, who was incredibly special and really could nail it. I did go through and pull out a couple tracks. We can play them back from those two episodes, kind of tease those episodes about the four personality styles. He hated calling them styles, but the four personalities of golf. And it was like, okay, that's interesting, but how does it relate to golf? So I'll play those here and later when we get talking about that. And we'll come out of commercials with Carey. That's a good way to do this. And yesterday, funny you say that, yesterday I received an email from somebody saying, can you tell me how to find anything online about Carey Mumford? I want to know more about the Clear Key system. And the Clear Key, to me, what I remember about it, he taught me, is when I was at that school, is this nonsensical rhyme that he had me do in my head that kind of throws me away from thinking too much about making the swing.
Right.
And he had me saying, Mary had a little lamb. I wish I had one too. Right. So it's like, wait, that's not right. It's Mary had a little lamb. No, Mary had a little lamb. I wish I had one too. One, Mary had a little lamb. I wish I had one too. Walk up to the ball. Now I start it from behind the ball. Say it once. Say it while I'm walking up to the ball. Say it one more time when I get to the ball, and pull the trigger and swing. And it was really helpful. Really helpful.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, he had many, I think he worked, I'm pretty sure at one point he worked with Al Geiberger, for example. But there was the other thing that I did when I preparing, I went back and looked on the Bird site, right? The Bird golf site.
Yeah.
He was face to face with more than 22,000 PGA members at one point in his career or another. Listen to this. Okay. And he did more than 200 clinics in 30 states and Canada. I mean, I didn't know that. And as much as I had kind of connected with him, I just didn't realize that, the breadth of the connection this guy had with people. He had an influence on a lot of people. Yeah,
he did. Yeah,
and a lot of people don't know about him. Yeah.
That's what I love about doing this show, is that there's a lot of great instructors out there that no one's ever going to hear of. And I love finding them. Yeah. Bringing them out and sharing them with people. The other thing I got to be honest about this. The other thing that caught my attention when you wrote to me was your email address.
Oh, Tony@GameImprovementGolf.com.
No. Your real name is Anthony Wright, Wright,
okay.
And your email address was all right.
Oh, I never thought about it like that.
AWRIGHT. All right. So it's like, and then when I went through, it's like, oh shoot, his name's Anthony. Right. And I thought, what a great email address. All right. So, I thought it was definitely worth talking about.
Yeah.
Give me a little bit about Game Improvement Golf and your podcast. We'll talk a little bit about your podcast, and then we'll get into what the business is that you have.
Sure. Well, I've had a business since like 2006, but somewhere around maybe 2013. Of course, your podcast was way earlier than that, right? But podcasts kind of started to be more something
2015.
To do. Yeah,
2015
like that,
was a big year for podcasts. Yeah.
So the end of 2013, I thought, gosh, let's do this. It would be interesting, and maybe I could, find people to talk to and do it. And so typically about every 2 weeks, I do one with somebody.
And what's your content? What do you
content is club fitting, professional club fitting, not club fitting, which I see as a difference. Okay.
Ooh.
Short game improvement. Okay. How do you improve it for short game? Improving putting, which is one of the things I do a lot, is helping people improve their putting, and how people should practice. Okay. So, sometimes I talk to club fitting friends or people who are really smart in the club fitting world, and been fortunate to find a number of really interesting putting gurus and people smart about putting to talk on it. And then, variety of other people and improvement, like somebody you interviewed recently, Ryan Caserta, who is a fascinating guy. And one of my other putting friends brought him to me, said, you really should talk to him. And, 170 episodes now, not up in the 700s like you.
Well, that's just one step at a time, man.
That's right.
You'll get there.
You kind of do it. And, and so I do club fitting, and I've done it since I really got interested in it back in around 2006, when a guy here in town who was a club fitter took this so-called fitted driver and says, "What are you doing playing with this? It's terrible." And I won't say whose club it was, what company's club, right. But he built me a custom built club, KCG. You might have heard of KCG. And he built me some irons, and I just got interested. And then I learned about people like Tom Wishon. You may know Tom, who is a big person in the whole. Now retired, pretending to be
as an old radio guy. Yeah, right. As an old radio guy, one of the greatest voices of all time, Tom Wishon. Besides being brilliant about golf equipment, and golf clubs. Yeah, I just loved listening to his voice. And his mother lived around the corner from here. We never got a chance to meet, but his mother lived really close to me. Yeah. Let's take a time out. We'll come back and maybe we'll play a little bit of Carey Mumford coming out of the commercial, and we'll be back after this. This episode of the Golf Smarter podcast is brought to you by GetMister.com, makers of The Daily, the first FDA-registered 3-in-1 moisturizer, aftershave, and safe sunscreen that was formulated specifically for men. I hate to be pushing hard on this single topic each week, and I'm sure that GetMister would like me to focus on the other benefits of The Daily, like being a smooth aftershave or a wonderful skin moisturizer. But wearing SPF can reduce your risk of skin cancer by 40%. And men are more likely to develop skin cancer than women. Don't be foolish in thinking that you won't damage your skin because it's cloudy or it's winter. UVA and UVB rays are just plain harmful. Listen, do you think you wouldn't get cavities if you only brushed your teeth once a month? Same with skin cancer. It's cumulative. And the UV rays can hurt you all year. Take advantage of the 25% discount on your first order that GetMister is offering to the Golf Smarter community right now. Use the checkout code GolfSmarter to order their convenient subscription with travel-sized bottles with the awesome little pop-up display pump. I just love the bottle. You twist it, it pumps. You twist it back, it's clean. You'll have to see it to believe it. And remember, it's a limited time offer. Go to GetMister.com today. Your skin will thank you, as I do, for supporting a sponsor that I really appreciate having. Again, take advantage of that 25% off your first order with the checkout code GolfSmarter and use The Daily from GetMister, #everydamnday. GETMR, GetMister.com.
The driver is the guy who thinks things up. The persuader is the person who promotes the things the driver thought up. The craftsman is the guy that gets the work done, and the analyzer is the quality control guy. Now, we all have a little bit of all four of those in us, but we also have at least one of them. Sometimes it's a double, but usually one that is the distinct leader. And most of what people observe in you and me will come from the one that is the leader. The others will condition the way that appears, okay?
You and I are similar in age. You're a little bit older than I am. But you said that in the 2000s when you started doing the club fitting. What were you doing ahead of that?
Oh, okay. I had a 35-year career as a senior scientist and program manager at a place called Oak Ridge National Laboratory. So
And what
I've
did
got a
you do?
PhD and I did a lot of things.
So you're Dr. All Right.
I'm Doctor All Right. I'm actually Doctor All Right. Yeah, yeah. I did things in reactor safety and industrial energy efficiency and a lot of other things. There was a neat place to work because I every 6 or 7 years tended to do something a little different. Okay.
Awesome. Fabulous.
Fabulous place.
Why golf club making?
Okay.
What was the attraction? Why did you make that change?
Well, it was time
You're
to
tired of
it was time to it
tired of
was
making a living.
yeah, it was time to retire. But you know,
Okay.
the way go back, okay, is when I was a kid, I was a caddy at a country club. Okay.
Ah, the old caddy story.
Right. But because I was connected with some amazing people through that country club, the neighbor who took me to the place to caddy, and some people that just really liked me. Okay. I got a 4-year total tuition scholarship to a place called Carnegie Mellon University.
Wow.
Okay. They had a
Wow.
Western Pennsylvania Golf Association caddy scholarship program that I still connect with because they changed my life, you know.
Sure.
And so I loved golf when I was a kid and watched Arnold Palmer and all that stuff. But, you know, like I said in the last little segment, you know, I had gotten interested back in golf again, sort of 1986, something like that. And started, you know, kind of following this guy who was a club fitter. Okay. I'd go to his shop, I'd see what he had and all these kind of things. And then when I had this little issue with this club that, you know, why can't I hit this? You know, I went through a quote unquote fitting and he said, well, the fact is the shaft is like a board. Most human beings couldn't hit this club, you know. Um, and that kind of started me down the road. And then also, you know, as you said a few minutes ago before the break, I found one of Tom Wishon's books,
Right.
the search for the perfect golf club, and that really got me juiced. Okay, so that's what kind of started me down that road. And
So that you new life
yeah,
after retirement, basically.
yeah, that's pretty much what I've
Awesome.
been. You know, my wife says maybe even more than she wishes I was, but but I love it. I love helping golfers play better.
Yeah, I
I
completely.
love that they find things that they didn't realize they could do.
I love trying to get better and talking to people who can help me do that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then fascinating stories like yours as well. Always gets me going. What so then now I'm asking you questions from the scientific side. So what was it about Carey Mumford that sucked you in?
I didn't think I didn't know you were going to ask that, and I wasn't even prepared. What about him was he was just a little off the beaten path about his enthusiasm for things related to golf psychology and the fact that a lot of the information out there, he could make a really good case that people weren't getting the truth.
Hmm.
Okay, you know, about being on automatic and about putting yips and about how to train and a whole range of things. Okay. And then I guess because also something about him, the fact that he'd just respond to me and I could ask questions and feedback information and talk. As you know, he ended up about an hour from me in Crossville, Tennessee. Um,
Okay.
and I actually went to lunch with him one time, which was a real delight. It was a year or two before he passed away.
Mhm.
You know, he was getting up there. He had threatened to come and play golf with me in Oak Ridge a couple of times, but just wasn't able to do it. But I just found everything that he wrote fascinating. The stuff about styles, for example, I know you did part of your interview with. You know, I went back and
Mhm.
looked at that. I did his style his style assessment. And it, it made sense to me, what was in there. And then I had his book, The Double Connection, which now I can't find, which I believe was, an online book. Okay. And excuse me, there he talked about clear keys and how to use them and how to create them and what they do for people. And it just, it just resonated with me. So just sharp guy.
Yeah. And so here's someone talking about the mental game, the mental aspect, the emotional aspect of playing golf to a scientist who sees things as equations and, hard facts and, I don't want to say black and white, but it resonated with you.
Yeah.
I'm finding this really interesting that the mental game aspect really got you going, even though that you spent a lifetime career working in science.
And also, if you're just like me, you've had times when it happened, right?
Yeah.
When you were in a zone situation where
Yeah.
there was just clearly something in how you played, in, the time I shot 71, for example. I shot 71 and I had gone out that day partly because there was something going on the next day at church and I couldn't get out of doing it. It's really strange, how do these things happen, right? But I went out and it just all clicked, and it doesn't totally click all the time, but it clicks sometimes. And these things click enough for people in terms of having zone experiences that you kind of wonder, where's that coming from? And I think Carey felt
why today of all days?
Well, I think Carey believed that he kind of knew the answer, that if you apply clear keys, that yeah, you can get on automatic. It may not happen all the time, but you can.
Right.
Right.
So when you say you shot a 71, is that like a radically outrageous score for you?
Yeah,
or are you a low handicapper generally?
Well, I'm a 7 or 8 from senior keys now, so okay.
Who cares?
Yeah.
You're still 7 or 8. You're still making the shots.
Yeah.
I don't care where you're playing from.
Yeah. So, that's still my goal again as a 71-year-old to do that again, to shoot my age, right? I'm searching for that. That would be quite an achievement. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
So his everything that he ever wrote. I mean, he was a little bit of a maverick, I think, even though I said earlier that he taught all these people, right? He connected with all these people, but there was just something about him that just made sense about what he talked about.
Let's talk about your other specialty and what got you into the golf industry, and that's custom club fitting. You mentioned a minute ago that club fitting versus pro club fitting are very different.
Well, I think everybody wants to use the word custom these days, right?
Yeah,
and I think it's sort of diluted what the real people that go after this for people do. I mean, it may not be for everybody. Okay, I get that. But if you go and somebody says they're fitting you for a set of clothes and it takes 20 minutes, they're not fitting you for a set of clothes. They might get lucky, but I have enough experience in doing this that if you're doing it right, you're not sure exactly. It's not a cookbook. We're all human beings that are unique, and you never totally know exactly where it's going to go. Okay. So most of my fittings take 1 to 2 hours at least, sometimes longer. Okay.
I would think so.
And
that's just, I mean, I know that the times that I've been fit for clubs, that it took me an hour for a driver fitting.
Sure. And,
I love my driver.
Take some videos too, for example. I mean, if you're really doing a fitting with somebody, you have to understand what they do. You also, I think, have to know when to call it off.
Right.
I mean, there are times when, for example, you get into the tech part of it a little, not really high tech, but if the face and path of a golfer vary by 6 or 7 or 8 degrees, there's very little you're going to do to get them into a really superb set of clubs for them. Okay. So, it's time to get a lesson, or sometimes it's time to, to have lock in a correct grip, right? Your grip could be affecting so much in your game. Okay.
Right. So,
there's that part of it. It's a blend of art and science. Okay.
Awesome.
It's a blend of learning from what you already knew and doing it. And it's not, there aren't overnight successes.
Right. Listen, we're going to take another time out. And in the at the last break, we came out with Carey actually talking about the style, the different style of people that he recognized. And when we come out of this commercial break, my question was, how does that relate to golf? And we'll get the answer right after this. Wow, baseball season has begun, and so has another podcast from my personal production archives. Back in 1986, I developed a program for the radio station I was working at in San Francisco, KSFO. As we were the rights holders to the broadcast, and I was a huge fan at the time, the show was about the players for the Oakland A's. And it gained a lot of national press, including Sports Illustrated, probably because of the name and the unique content. Well, it went so well that I ended up doing a lot of legwork and decided it had enough merit to be on a national scale, focusing on current Major League ball players and former Major League ball players, including many Hall of Famers, telling stories about their lives in and around the game. It was called Radio Baseball Cards. Now, as fate would have it, I only produced one season, but that meant I did 162 unique episodes, and it ran on 40 radio stations across the country. To this day, I still believe that it was some of the best audio content I've ever produced. Well, then in 2017, with podcasting really taking hold, I thought, what the heck? I just want to have it out there so people can hear it. So I repurposed it as a weekly podcast that coincides with the baseball season. Last week, we started our 4th and final season. The host of the show was one of my childhood heroes. Sorry, Giants fans. The late Hall of Fame pitcher for the LA Dodgers, Don Drysdale. Each show is only 90 seconds, and here's a taste of this year's first episode.
Here's another radio baseball card. Lou Brock has seen many changes in baseball since he started with the Cubs in 1961, but the most fascinating change to him is how the industry has matured.
Years ago, you sold baseball. You took your best players, you sent them out on caravans, and they shook hands with all the people, and they got patted on the back in bars, and you were selling baseball. Come on out to buy a ticket and watch us play
Radio
next year.
Baseball Cards from Smarter Podcasts is available from wherever you get your favorite podcast. If you're a fan of baseball, or history, or baseball history, then follow us and dig into our archives for these amazing and amusing stories as told by the greatest ball players of the 20th century. That's Radio Baseball Cards, the podcast.
For golf, what it does is it allows the person to know when they are in their style and when they're out of their style. If you've heard the expression, I have trouble getting my game from the practice tee to the golf course, right? Okay, what happens with people is that they go to the practice tee and they practice in a style that either they have imagined that they want or they intend to be, or in other words, if they don't practice in the style Mother Nature gave them, when they go to the golf course, they're going to hit that style, and they're not going to be able to find what they were working on the practice range. In other words, if I'm a persuader and I'm over there on the practice range trying to be very detailed in the way I go about my game and being very precise and thinking a lot about the mechanics of the game, when I go to the golf course, that's not going to be available to me because I'm going to be out there playing like a persuader, and I will be at a loss to know where I am or what I'm doing. So it has orientation in it. You've got to be well oriented to play the game of golf, believe me.
I want to keep picking your brain about the club fitting thing, and let's start with for the amateur golfer, whether they're a 7 like you, I'm an 11 these days, 15, 18, 22. Should everybody get fitted for clubs?
Why
Or
would you?
lots of times I get emails, people going, I'm just starting out in the game. I'm new to it. I don't want to start getting clubs coming in. My swing's going to change. No, it's not. No, it's not. You may learn how to get your club face square at path at some point, but your swing is going to probably stay basically the same. So what is the value of being fit for golf clubs?
For everybody, right?
At
everybody. Well, why would you not want to be, for example, in the set of clubs that are the right length for you, to put you in an appropriate athletic position to make a good swing? So that's almost a given for somebody in terms of golf clubs. Okay. And do you want...
Because major manufacturers don't really take into account that I could be 5'6" and my buddy who's playing the same set of clubs is 6'2".
They have, you can get options for that, but often you're not put in clubs that are other than standard. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Probably the people that are taller get more options in many ways than that, because they really know that they need longer clubs. Okay. But even there, if you're taller, maybe you don't need the kind of shafts that you need to keep the weighting right might be different than somebody that's playing a shorter club, different things like that. So a golfer, some golfers will get into just buy a set of clubs and extra stiff shafts. Well, does that fit everybody? Of course not, right? And then there's extra stiff versus extra stiff versus extra stiff. Big realization over the last, I would say, 8 or 10 years is that what's really important in a shaft is the profile of the bending of the shaft and the flex of the shaft. Okay. And something that might be called stiff is way different than somebody else's stiff shaft. Okay. What's the balance of the weight of the club? Should you make the club head heavier? Should you make it lighter? Does that affect where you hit the center, whether you'll hit the center of the face or not? I mean, one of the kings of everything about club fitting is being able to hit the center of the face. And if you get that right with somebody, they know it, they feel it, it matters. Okay. So everybody's going to get some benefit from being professionally fit. Maybe more in a lot of ways, the people that are high handicaps. But why not?
That are high handicaps, they would benefit more.
I think so. I think they tend to benefit. Yeah.
And why is that?
So much more room for improvement, right?
Oh, great.
Right.
Yeah.
But still, then, the low handicap might be playing with something. I mean, I had a friend that I know is like a 3 or 4, and I spec'd the shafts that he had, and they were super soft, and I was really surprised. And I don't think they were really a fit for him. For some reason, he just liked them. But
but he's a 3 or 4. Who's going to tell him you're doing something wrong?
They can adapt. People that have that high skill level can adapt a lot more than somebody that doesn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
But back again, in particular, those people that are starting, get something that gives you the chance to find a swing that really works for you rather than fighting clubs. Right? So that's kind of my answer, but this simple answer to that.
Yeah, it's a good one though. It's a good one. The one thing that's really blown me away about all these conversations that I've had over the years, and it feels like I've had a PhD program in golf instruction over the years, what I've learned, is the amount of nuance. The deeper you get into this rabbit hole, the amount of nuance involved in golf, from equipment to mechanics, all the way to the mental game. Just little things that you hear about, but it may take a long time before you really actually get it.
Yeah.
Right? Well, one of the things that I don't get is the nuance in equipment. I get that, you want to have the proper shaft as far as whether it's a stiff or a regular or what's it called? Soft flex. Just the different
sort of
flexes.
Profile. Right.
Yeah, the flex. But then you also have the length of the shaft, which you already brought up. And now a big conversation is the grip, because people are starting to use thicker grips.
That's
right?
a great thing for me to tell you right now. This hand, right? See a little blue thing on here? I just had
middle finger.
Yeah, not giving
I'm the only one can see you.
I just had trigger finger surgery, and I've got arthritis.
Oh.
Okay, I got some arthritis in my hand. Well, you can make a huge difference in somebody's ability to enjoy the game by finding a set of grips that allow them to play and hold the club easily if they have arthritic problems. Mm-hmm. I found through some of my club fitting friends, wasn't even aware of it. You've heard of wind dry check grips, right? Probably.
Sure.
Okay. They have a new version.
WINN.
And they have a new version, wind dry check LT, less taper. So, and there's a lot of grips coming out these days with less taper in the right hand. But these grips are soft, but the right hand has a little bit less taper. And
when you say taper, I need you to break that down.
Down at the bottom of the grip.
It tapers down from the top to the bottom, down towards the shaft.
Right.
Okay.
Right. But the feeling in my hands with these grips compared to what I had before I was starting to have some of these problems, totally different. I can hold the club easily. I got two other people right now in the middle of regripping their clubs with these grips, both of them with arthritis problems. It makes a difference,
How has it impacted your?
I haven't played with them yet, but I know that I'm going to have a lot better chance and ability to hold on to the club and make a good swing with them. Yeah, I had a little back and hip problem for a couple of months, so I hadn't played much over the winter, but just kind of started back. But yeah,
I hope you're feeling better and you're fully strong this spring. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, like we said, we're vaccinated, so there you go. But I mean, grip is so. There's not a cookbook on grip either. A lot of
When my club fitter, when I go in for new grips, he goes, "What do you want?" And I'm like, "I don't know."
Yeah. But when I'm fitting, I'm very careful about grips, though. That if I have specific, there are different weights of grips, and different weights of grips can affect your swing a little bit, your performance. If sort of standard grips are maybe 50 grams, okay. Mm-hmm. Well, if you go into some of the bigger grips or other styles, they might be 60 or 70 grams. That could change the balance of the golf club.
It's not going to just affect the way you hold the club.
It can actually affect the performance. Yeah,
performance.
It could affect where you're hitting it on the face. Okay.
Wow.
And you got to not just assume that it doesn't.
Wow. Let's take another break and hear what's on Golf Smarter Mulligans this week, and we'll come out of it with one more pearl of wisdom from Carey Mumford. This week on Golf Smarter Mulligans, number 103 is our 6th in the 9 consecutive episodes dedicated to the lessons of the late Tony Manzoni. We need to address the elephant in the room. So many people hear Tony talk about his single pivot swing and say, yeah, that's stack and tilt. Not according to Tony, for very specific reasons.
I can honestly tell you that when my article came out in Golf Illustrated, I got a lot of emails from people that bought their book and bought their tapes and said, I can't do this, it hurts my back, but when I tried your method, I could hit the ball. Now, does that mean I'm right? No, it just means that some people think that my method is easier. I do know one thing. Ben Hogan rotated through the golf ball. He didn't tilt. He was what we call posted straight up and down when he hit a golf ball. He did not tilt back. His chest was left of the target, and he was always in perfect balance.
That's our old friend, the late Tony Manzoni, on episode number 103 of Golf Smarter Mulligans, being released this Friday. Learn more about Tony on our website at golfsmarter.com/Tony. And the reason we've done that is because you can't find much of Tony anywhere on the web. His book, The Lost Fundamental, One Simple Move, Better Golf Forever, is available on Amazon, and his DVD of the same name can only be seen online through our private channel. To gain access, you need to write to me. Click on the Hey Fred button at golfsmarter.com, and I'll send you the information. Both Golf Smarter and Golf Smarter Mulligans are free podcasts and available wherever you get your favorites. Please follow both so that you can get a brand new episode of either when it downloads to your favorite listening device.
The whole realm of golf psychology has approached the matter of the mental game as though it were a set of emotions or a set of feelings or even a set of beliefs and values, when in fact the mental game really has to do with how you use your thinking to provide the kind of result you want to get.
And what are the myths of club fitting that most people either repeat or just don't know?
The myths. Longer drivers are always going to give me a lot more yards.
In which direction?
Big ones. I mean, yeah, right. Wow, what yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, I know that people talk about it. I have heard many times that the standard length of the shaft for a driver is 45 inches.
45 and a half, 46, something like that, right?
Okay, but if you cut it down an inch and a half, you'll have better control. You won't have as much yards forward, but you'll have better, let's say, less dispersion, and you'll be able to hit the ball straighter. But the longer you go, the more chance you're going to be putting, if you have a tendency to slice or hook the ball, it's going to be emphasized. Is that correct?
Well, take it in two pieces, okay? First of all, the more you hit the center of the club face, the more likely you are to hit as far as you can, right? Mm-hmm. The additional part of that, if you don't hit the center of the club face, you know a little bit about gear effect of drivers? Gear effect is, sort of curvature of off-center hits, okay? If you hit out in the toe, they have the driver face has a little bit of a curvature to it, and it's designed so that it have a potential to bring a hook back a little bit or bring a slice back a little bit, but it can also promote slices and hooks if you're not hitting the center of the face. So I haven't fit a driver longer than 44 and a half inches for as long as I can remember. Most drivers that I fit are somewhere between, for sort of I don't know if there's an average man. I've got a driver fitting tomorrow. Somewhere in the range of 44 to 44 and a half inches long, unless there's some really, really tall guy or something, right? But they can get more yards because they hit the center of the face more. They hit it straighter because they hit the center of the face more. So, that's a big myth. Not a myth, but, a lot of people don't think about the importance of the whole makeup of your bag. Right?
How so?
Particularly wedges and gapping and things like that. And, getting the right lofts of the wedges for you. Getting the right set of hybrids, for example. Most golfers need hybrid clubs these days. I mean, with the way lofts are going down and continually decreasing to try to get more and more distance. Getting that set makeup, it's about scoring. Golf is about playing your best and shooting the lowest number. And it's just as important about getting the right set of clubs in your bag as it is whether I hit my 6-iron 10 yards more. Okay.
tell me the makeup of your set in your bag.
Oh, that's
Tell me your
interesting
club
right now.
breakdown.
Well, I changed mine because I'm very
Oh, really?
interested in single length irons right now. And Tom
Are you
created,
really? Oh, a whole nother topic to talk about.
we could. Well, Tom Washawn just did a new design of single length clubs recently.
Uh-huh.
So my bag has the 7-iron through a sand wedge in single length, 37 inches, tip roughly the length of a sort of a standard 7 or 8 iron. Okay.
How tall are you?
6 foot.
Okay.
I have a sand wedge. I have a Mura sand wedge that's a little shorter, but I like it in the way it works in a bunker. I've got 2 hybrids that are single length that are about 1 inch longer than my irons. Okay, a 5 and a 6 hybrid. And I've got a 4 wood and a 7 wood that actually I played around with this a little bit. I think the 7 wood is going to stay at the length it is, 41 inches. 4 would make it a little bit longer. Just try to eke out a little bit of distance gap between that and the 7 wood. But see, again, it's this getting gapping of distances. That's in,
Right.
I mean, I don't hit it far, but I want each club to be doing something a little bit different. Okay?
Right. And you want it to do what you think it's going to do when you
do it. Yeah, right.
When you make
Right.
contact. Right.
Yeah, right.
And of course a driver as well.
Right. Yeah. And I'm playing a crank driver. It's 44 and a quarter inch long. And that's been my driver length for forever.
And how many wedges do you carry?
I've got a sand wedge. It's kind of a full, let's see. So I've got a pitching wedge, gap wedge, sand wedge, all single length. And, the sand wedge is like 54 degrees of single length. And then my Mura sand wedge is 56 degrees. I'm purely not worried about the gapping. I use the sand wedge only in the sand.
Only in the sand.
And I pitch and hit, lower kind of chip shot stuff all with the sand wedge.
And that's, you said 56
54, 54, I think.
54 degree.
The single length sand wedge. Yeah.
So a lob wedge, 60 degree.
Yeah, lob wedge. A lot of people could do real well to keep lob wedges out of their bags.
Yes,
which is another topic.
It's a whole nother episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because I have a driver and I'll say it this way, a 3 wood, but years ago, Jesse Ortiz of Orlamar Golf fit me after I lost my golf clubs from the airline, stole them. Jesse Ortiz fit me and he goes, you know what? I'm going to put you on a 4 wood. Just tell people it's a 3 wood because you're going to be able to get it off the ground better. You're going to get it in the air better. And it's been like, my friends are like, he pulled out the 3 wood again. Look out. I love that golf club. Yeah. I carry hybrid for replacing my 3-iron and 4-iron. So I have 2 hybrids.
Yeah.
And then right now I'm playing 5 through 9 single length irons.
Huh. And which you can't tell.
1-iron golf.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah. 1-iron golf. And it's taking me some time to figure out my distances, but I think I'm starting to fall in love with these clubs. Now I haven't been able to play in the last couple of weeks and so I haven't had a chance to practice, but I think I'm falling in love with these clubs and they're beautiful too. They're Blackstones. They're really nice and great to look over, which is a big part. I mean, I have a friend who bought his clubs because he liked the font, the numbers and font. And he's like, oh, these are pretty. I'll buy these. Like, really? Don't tell me that. Please don't tell me that. You can tell your other friends that. And then right now, different wedges. I'm playing Terry Kaler's Edison wedges.
Right. The new one. Right.
Yeah. So I'm playing those. My last round, I had one of the best rounds I've had in a number of months with that setup. And I play the Seymour putter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I have one other club though that's really kind of fun, and I know you're going to get on here pretty soon. We got to mention one other Carey thing before the end, but I have this driver that Tom Washawn developed, a little fairway driver. It's like a 15-degree driver, and it's 41 and 3/4 inches long. And I hit that thing It's one of the favorite clubs I've ever had. And it's
Wow.
shorter, and I can hit it, for a 71-year-old ish. I can hit it about 200 yards. I can hit off the tee. I can hit off the fairway. It's just fabulous little club. So
that's great.
Isn't it neat?
That's great. And when do you pull that out? I mean, at what?
There's a couple holes on our course where hitting a driver is not probably a great shot. Shorter par fours. So I hit that, but sometimes I can hit it from the fairway too. I love it. It's a neat club.
That's great. GameImprovementGolf.com.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for being on. It was great talking to you, Tony.
One more thing, I hope. Carey's book.
Please.
Carey's book. Somebody out there must have a copy of it. He's got a putting book. But, we're looking to find ways to get some of this back in circulation, right? The double connection, CONNEXION. Gosh, I'd love to get a copy of that from somebody if somebody doesn't have it. So,
all right. Well, now you have 2 different podcast titles that you can reach out to people and ask them to send you the book or write to you. Yeah. So go to Game Improvement Golf and you can write to Tony from there to Mr. All Right. Great talking to you, Tony. Thanks so much for reaching out. Really enjoyed meeting you, and best of luck with the podcast.
We're gonna get it sorted out. Thanks a lot for that.
As Tony and I discussed earlier, I was lucky enough to not only meet Carey Mumford, but also get a chance to be at a weekend golf school in Phoenix where he was teaching. So I got to spend a lot of time and have a couple of meals with him. A wonderful and impressive gentleman. He truly was a gentleman. You can hear my conversations with Carey in our archived episodes that we call Golf Smarter Mulligans. Those are episodes number 16 and 26. You can find those where you get your favorite podcast or check in to hear them at golfsmarter.com. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions on what you'd like to hear on an upcoming interview, or maybe you have some ideas, I'm going to keep this one going because I really want to hear from you on this. We're coming up to episode 800, and I'd like to do something special, something different. So please, your suggestions are greatly appreciated. Follow at Golf Smarter in social media. When you follow on Instagram, I usually create a video of our opening tees with the episode's network. It's a great way to share it with your friends so you can introduce them to the podcast as well. And please subscribe to Golf Smarter TV on YouTube. Or if you want to just write to me, just click on the Hey Fred button at golfsmarter.com.